Thank you, Roth, and good morning, everybody. Is it still morning in Mongolia? No.
It's the afternoon.
Okay, good. Well, I'm in the United Arab Emirates, so I'm quite a long way away. It's still morning for me, but it's nice to see you, whatever time of day it is. And thanks for joining. I think I met some of you before in earlier meetings, but just in case. Yes.
Can I just asking about forum bot? Is it possible to record? Maybe we can watch again the training because it's training. So this is why. Sorry about your troubling.
That's
it's recorded already, right?
Can you record the meeting?
Yes, yes, Mr. Arianbo, as my colleague Pim mentioned, we are recording the session already. It's already recording, and we will share the recording after this meeting. So that's we can reassure you on that. And apologies, I think your microphone is a bit soft. Could you maybe perhaps move it a bit closer? But you were coming in a bit soft earlier. But it's okay. We can work on that later on.
Okay, sorry, Matthew.
No problem. Let's try and make this session worthy of a replay that you will enjoy, watching it 2 or 3 times. So I'm Matthew Shearing, and I'm a consultant working for ESCAP alongside my colleague Titi Cantilastori, who is used to be working with the BPS Indonesia. I worked for many years with the UK's Office for National Statistics, but I've been a consultant in capacity building for many years now. But first, I'm going to hand you back to Tanya in ESCAP, because Tanya would like to say a few more words of introduction. Tanya. You're on mute, Tanya.
You're on mute.
2.5 years into this and we still forget to unmute ourselves. It's amazing, no? Sorry about that. Okay, but good afternoon, everyone, especially Mr. Aaron Bolshaga and the colleagues from the National Statistical Office of Mongolia. It's really great to see you here today. And I have to admit that I have a slight affinity for Mongolia because I had the pleasure of working really closely with the head of your NSO a few months ago on our Committee on Statistics, and it was a very enjoyable experience. So it's really nice to see some of his colleagues here today. As Matthew mentioned, my name is Tanya Sayersen. I'm a statistician here at the Statistics Division at ESCAP, and I've been leading our work on big data over the last few years. We're really pleased that you're here today, and we're really pleased we're working with Mongolia on this initiative. And obviously, your active participation today will really be key for the productive training and for the future work under this project as well. And I'm sure you're all really, knowledgeable and dedicated statisticians that have worked on statistics for many years. So you're very aware of the urgent issues of data gaps, and that is one of the biggest issues in official statistics today. We're all being kind of demanded to produce more higher quality and timely official statistics, and especially with the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development and the huge data demands that has created. Globally, there has been quite a lot of work on trying to use big data for filling some of these data gaps over the last few years. The United Nations Statistics Division and a lot of other UN and non-UN partners are trying to support this, and we will mention some of these different initiatives today. More formally, in 2014, the Global Working Group on Big Data for Official Statistics was established. This is now labeled the Committee of Experts on Big Data and Data Science for Official Statistics. But this global group is really mandated to provide strategic vision, direction, and coordination of global programs on big data. And Titi will mention some of the work that's happening at that global level as well. In Asia and the Pacific, most of the work that we've done at ESCAP so far related to big data has really been trying to facilitate knowledge sharing, because we know that most of the NSOs in our region are kind of just starting off with using these non-traditional data sources and then methods for producing statistics. So we've been spending the last few years really trying to kind of map out some of the activities already happening in the region, and also facilitate countries learning from each other on these kind of initiatives. Now we are kind of moving into the next stage, and we are very excited to have you on board for this next stage for us, where we are trying to begin working a little bit more directly with individual countries. And this includes our pilot project to use big data for the production of environment gender indicators in Asia and the Pacific. And we're super happy to have Mongolia and also Cambodia on board. As you know, the objective of this project is to support you to explore the use of big data for producing a specific indicator. There's been some initial discussions on the selection of this indicator already. Obviously, it's really important that this is the indicator is relevant to your long-term development policy and also medium-term strategic plans. In addition to trying out the actual production of the indicator, we're also going to support with producing a strategy or a strategic document to guide future work on this indicator. So today is really the first training. There will be other sessions, and we're really hoping to hear a lot from you about your questions and clarifications, so that we can, both guide the remaining work in this project and also our future work. For us, this really is a pilot, and we're really keen on learning from this experience, as well as you learning from this experience. And finally, I really want to give a big shout out to our international consultants, Matthew and Titi, who you see here. We are super happy that they're on board. They're both very engaged at the global level, and Titi comes with very exciting experience from Indonesia. That is really one of the countries in the region that are leading the way in using big data. I've worked with Matthew before and Titi before as well, and they're really excellent. So we are super lucky to have them on board, and I'm sure they'll do an excellent job also today in providing this training. So thanks again to everyone. I also want to give a shout out, to my colleague Roth, because really he's doing most of the work on this. So you will have a lot more contact with him than you will with me. And he is really leading this project and is doing an excellent job as that as well. So super happy to have you all here. And I really look forward to hearing more about where you're at and your questions today. So thank you so much. And now Matthew is on mute, so it's not just me.
My computer is slow, not me, I'm sure. Thank you for your very kind words, far too kind, I'm sure. In a moment, I want to hand over to colleagues in Mongolia. I'd like to do a round of introductions to understand where everybody is in terms of their roles, but also to understand from you what you would like to learn today and in the future. I can't promise we will be able to teach you everything. It's more about sharing knowledge, I think, and today is a lot about finding out what kind of knowledge we need to build in the future. So I'll just take a second to kind of look at today's agenda, so you can think about this in a second. So I'm going to look back on the project objectives, what we're here to do, and then Titi's going to talk to you to cover the fundamentals of big data and official statistics. And I'm aware that some of you may know a lot of that, all of you may know a lot of that, but at least I think it will allow us to stimulate questions and thinking around how we do the pilot project. So introduction to big data and data science. I'm And then after a break, we're kind of going to look at the implications. So the important kind of the so what. Okay, so we have this big data. What are we going to do about it? These are really important things for how we design this project and design your strategies going forward. How we access the data, how we work in partnerships outside of statistical officers, which is becoming more and more important in general, never mind just because of big data. And a really important issue is around quality assurance. And when we look at the indicator and we do the pilot project, thinking through methodically how we deal with data quality issues is going to be really central to the project. And then near the end, we're going to have a discussion, I think, on, okay, what does all that mean for the project and have a forward thinking. So the objectives of today is to share knowledge. You will know things that TT and I don't know. Let's share what we know about the issues which come up today. And really, we want to kind of develop learning objectives for the next step. So we've got in mind that the next training course will happen, and it will probably be focused on data tools, methodologies, and the specific data sources which we target for this project. And we also let's take the time to keep thinking about, well, how do we develop this strategy? But I will also say that in the guiding framework document, which we already drafted, which hopefully will be already have been shared with you or will be shared with you, in there are lots of references, learning points that if today stimulates you, if today excites you, then please look at those references, because by reading them, you'll be really well equipped to be using big data in official statistics. There are some key references, so if you're going to only pick two things, we would suggest that you look at the UNECE's framework for quality using big data in official statistics, point A on there, and for you, for Mongolia, that your indicator, there's a really good reference point on measuring slum dwellings. That's given there, and also the metadata around SDG 11.11, which is the most relevant for our indicator. But first and foremost, please let's hear from you, our colleagues in Mongolia, about who you are and what kind of learning objectives you have today and in the future around big data. I don't know how to start the Roth. Maybe you could help facilitate this.
No worries. So thanks for the very brief introduction of how this session will go. And as Matthew mentioned, these are some useful reference that after this training you can have a look at, especially the framework and the SDG metadata. We've shared it once before, but it will continue to come up in the conversations to come. So the floor is yours, Mr. Arianbol. So we would be grateful if you could share a few words on your thoughts of the training, the work done so far, and expectation for future engagements, and also if you could help ask your colleague to introduce themselves, what they're working on, and the expectation for today's training as well. That would be helpful. Thank you. So the floor is yours, Mr. Arianbol.
Okay, thank you, Roth, and thank you, Tanya, and thank you, Matthew. Okay, can I share?
Yes, you can. You can share your screen
briefly.
Yeah.
See my screen?
Yes, we can see your screen.
Yes. Okay, so okay. Generally, I introduced my colleagues. It's from our department. Here is the 6 people. First 6 people is from our department. So this is actually internal team. So we invited from the Institute of Geography and Geoecology, and also Agency for Land Administration and Management, and Geodesy and Cartography. So we added by five persons for our teams. I hope all of them joined in the meeting, so we can collaborate with together for one team. So Yes, that's the our team. So now our team consists of 11 people, including the Institute of Geography and the Agency for Land Administration, Management, Geodesy, and Cartography. So, now today is first. I would like to say that we really appreciated with collaborating with ESCAP, working on this pilot study. So today's expectation is we are just learning about more about big data is the one possible source of for the official statistics. So how do we engage this big data management? How to handle? How to sort out this issue? So many countries working on that. Also many studies, many experiences already rising, I think. So Mongolian Statistical Office now is more ambitious. We would like to study, learn, and after that we would like to share with other countries these study results. So yeah, but generally we know about all the topics because everyone or every day is talking about the subjects. However, we need to more detailed information. What is exactly the connected with official statistics, big data, and other sources? Also, we thinking about how to build the capacity building inside of the statistical offices. This is why data science and big data is the more crucial and more important tasks. So hopefully today we will learn or recognize something about related with the data science and big data. Yeah, that's today's. I could say that this is our expectation. Hopefully, yeah, we can learn step by step, collaborating with you, ESCAP and Matthew. Yeah, hopefully successfully complete this task. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. That's really useful, and I think that will be a very efficient way of having introductions done. But hopefully we can hear from everybody in the room when we pause for questions and answers. But please do raise a virtual hand when we're speaking if you've got any questions. We'd like to keep this informal, and we really like to hear from you. That's the only way we can kind of help you in a sense. And we're really here to kind of, I think I see this project really as facilitating you to come up with the solutions to the challenge around this indicator, but also to the challenge of using big data and official statistics more broadly in the future. And it's very much a step-by-step process. And we're kind of learning as we're doing together, I think. So this first session is very much just a very starting point, and we can think what we need to learn next, what we need to do next with the project. So let's see it like that. We're not going to achieve everything today. So I would just switch back and just like to just recap on a few things about the project so we know where we are and what we're doing this for. So the key output is going to be a national strategy, which we hope to complete in the next few months. That's your strategy for this indicator, but it will have a lot of relevance to using big data and official statistics in the future. We really need to make sure we focus on user needs, so making sure what we're doing is relevant and useful for policy making in particular. We really need to think hard about partnerships. So we talked earlier about your Geographical Institute and other partners joining this group, but we may need to think about how we work with other partners, data providers, and in the short term, at least, the partners that have the skills to help you carry out using big data and official statistics. A lot of what we need to look at is a statistical methodology, and we have to kind of decide quickly where our focus is going to be in terms of data sources, so we can kind of develop a methodology and test it out and see what we can learn. We also have to think hard about, and we'll hear a lot today about kind of challenges and risks, I think, and how to manage them, particularly through data quality frameworks. We really have to be really quite, I think personally, very aware of these things when we're talking about using big data, particularly as it's such a new thing. And we're quite good as official statisticians at managing risks in traditional data sources, but we really have to think hard about them when we try to introduce big data. And then we need to think about lessons learned. As I said, we can't, I don't think we can save the world within a few months, but we need to kind of do a lot of learning and think about the lessons. And particularly, we need to think about, well, okay, what resources are needed in the future for NSO Mongolia to kind of do things, and I think creatively about, well, we know we've got limited resources. How do we use things like partnerships to get skills and to get resources that we need in the future? In terms of the next steps, I think, as you saw in the guiding framework document, I think a little bit more interaction with users over the next months or so would be really useful. And at least thinking about their needs and refining things like the definition of what we're observing in terms of the housing. Further training sessions. The next one, I think, will focus on using Earth observation, a bit more around statistical methodology, data tools. So we develop a methodology. Hopefully other stakeholders will join us later in this meeting, but we need to think about, okay, how do we engage them with the process? The selection of data sources, we've got a kind of a proposal in the guiding framework, so we want to focus on the Earth observation stuff, OpenStreetMap maybe, household survey or censuses, but there's going to be other big data which we can maybe think can add value to those data sources in the future, which we need to strategize for. Hopefully we can have a national workshop soon, which kind of is a bit more fruitful than an online training course like this, that can really kind of take things forward more quickly. And then a regional workshop, I think in December, where we can not just share this learning with other countries in the region, but get their help in kind of solving some of the challenges that we have. But for now, I'm going to hand over to my colleague Titi to just go over some of the fundamentals, so we're all on the same page. We all have a shared understanding of what the basics are. And Titi, I will stop sharing and allow you to share your screen so you can move your own slides, okay?
Okay. Okay, thank you very much, Matthew. Good afternoon and good morning for Matthew, actually. Good afternoon for friends in Mongolia. I will share. Sorry. It cannot, hold on. Sorry, it cannot appear.
Okay. Well, let me share my screen.
Okay,
Let me
okay.
share my.
Okay. I will change. Try.
Okay.
Already exists. Replace them. Okay. Because previously I already upload.
Yeah, so you can
Everything.
just press replace and then it should be okay. Yeah, sorry, it's taking a bit of time, but it's okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Can you see?
Yeah, it's loading. It's loading.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep, we can see it now. It's a.
Yeah. Okay. So this is actually the introduction of the big data for official statistics. So what is big data? Actually, if we Google, then appear even in Wikipedia and others, ResearchGate or others, and even in Eurostat also they have. And yeah, it's actually a huge data in volume, but some people say that often is similar to administrative data, but it's very big. And yeah, this also definition of big data from Wikipedia and others. It's already almost the same. And then it started in 1990. It's a data set. And then big data actually is used in private also. Like if we have kind of like Uber or fintech financial technology. Sorry, fintech. Yeah. They use also big data. Like when they try to like lend money, they use big data in private, and also in some of the digital platform or marketplace, they use big data also. And the characteristic of the big data, this is referred to the volume. Usually it has a high volume, a big volume, even like terabytes, 100 terabytes, or even petabytes. Um, Then also it's referred to the heterogeneous sources because it's various. Like from a cookies is also big data. Like if you go to the website and then they always also accept the cookies. Actually, that cookies is used to marketing or yeah, a marketing analyze or for the preference or for the other analysis, especially in marketing. And the various source maybe later on, because it can be from that website and other sources. It's various. So data servers is not compatible. It needs at least data lake or cloud where other data can put it together. And as in the UN, it means that there is two step. Big data can be complement or also possible to replace traditional. But if not possible to replace, then it can be complement for traditional or conventional. Uh, Maybe better to say conventional than traditional. I don't know. Uh, yeah, the conventional like survey, census, or administrative data. And the velocity, it's referred to the speed in generating the data, like because like some other data is generated in hours, like mobile phone in hours and even in second. And also like satellite, it's generate it's very fast, like maybe in minute or in and the data availability can be like daily, even like hours, something like that. And the variability refer to the inconsistency of the data, because the data is not collected like a census where we can like keep the consistency by using the same methodology or the same, but the data is sometimes is different. Like in mobile phone, when you use 2G, or the data capture is can be different when you use the 3G or 4G data. Also, for the satellite, the high-tech satellite, the data capture will be sometimes different uh, compared to the data. And also for other data like data from social media or data from application apps in mobile. The data capture is can be different. And the types of big data, there are structured or semi-structured and unstructured data, like mobile phone data or scanner data and credit card data. This can be said that most structured, but it's similar to administrative data, but the data is very, very big. And unstructured data, it can be social media, like or that data from the Google, or social media include Facebook, Instagram, that's unstructured. And source of big data, there is various source. It's like from communication data, like mobile operator, smart mobile device, because like from smart mobile data there are now several company like Lotadata or I forgot the name. They collect the data that come from the application apps in the mobile smart mobile smartphone, and also sensor data, that's from satellite image, and also from vessel, or because now every vessel in the world have kind of like identification system, and now it's also used as a big data. Website data is a website activity, including like Google Trends or Google Mobility something, and business process generate data like from Amadeus forward keys, like from Amadeus when you go take the flight and then you check in, so the data is used, and also from the booking, Amadeus collected data, and usually normally used for tourism, but it also can be used for infrastructure development. And other is crowdsourcing data, with collected by many people, like open cell ID. It's collected by many people, and it is that's a BTS or antenna data in the world. And also OpenStreetMap is a crowdsourcing data. We can like sign in and create a map in there, map and or road. This is actually taken from the early adapter of big data in tourism statistics by Eurostat. So the communication, yeah, mobile network, smart mobile, social media, and worldwide, like web activity, dynamic website, static website, and flight booking system, store cashier, and financial transaction. This include actually the scanner data that for price statistics, and also sensor from traffic loops, from satellite image, vessel, and crowdsourcing from picture, Wikipedia. That's also include the data maybe from CCTV also. And for big data for official statistic, is different with big data if that for research or for experimental. But official statistic also can produce experimental or research, like in CBS Netherlands and ONS UK. They called the big data that experience as beta statistics. But in UK they call it like experimental. They publish, but they didn't mention as a official statistic. For official statistic, we have to refer the fundamental principle of official statistics, which adopted in 1994 and endorsed in 2013 by ISOSOC in General Assembly in 2014. This manual is a recognition of the highest political underlines for official statistics. So this is show that the statistic that produced by official statistics or other institution, it should be reliable and objective for decision making, and it's also become the reference of the production of official statistics. It has a 10 principle, and big data for official statistic is start when the in 2014 the data revolution report, the independent expert advisory group report to the UN Secretary General. In this word that counts, there are some example that's data revolution. Some of the example how the data is revolute, and the example is including for health, for other purpose, for urban planning and others. And at UNSE in 2014, it said that NSO should embrace big data if they didn't want to be left by the user, because user need and user need more timely and more fasting data. Like if census or survey, it needs at least maybe months to process and to publish. And why is big data important for official statistics? Because big data can keep statistics relevant because it's timelier, more frequent, and more granular. Like if for example nighttime light or earth observation, the data can be produced monthly. So if you try to use that, quarterly data is can be processed in, although the process of the processing sometimes long because the data is big, but it can be more frequent, like quarterly, and also can be more granular, like for example, Ministry of Planning or other ministry that relate to the SDGs, they might be need more granular data, like for SDG program, because they already set the target and the target should be achieved, and how to make the no one left behind. So like if the program, the action plan at municipality or cities data, then they need cities or province data, and also more frequent and more regular. What is the challenge of the producing official statistic? First one is legislative, because like in NSO usually have a statistical law, but sometimes the statistical law doesn't incorporate the access to big data, and also even it also if there is it need possible the head of the country, like president or a king decree to access the data, like Norway, to access some of the data, there is a king decree for that. Like in Indonesia, we have a president decree to access the data at the digital platform like Uber or others. Uber, or maybe in Asia there is a Grab. Then yeah, and then also the other challenge is financial, because like budget. I mean, like usually statistical office cannot buy data, but if the data in the at the private, maybe they ask us to buy the data. That's and then that's create more budget. Although if we compare, sometimes the data from big data compared to survey, like in Indonesia, uh, mobile phone is cheaper than survey, about even one third, because we are youths, and then when we did the survey we have to train the enumerator, and we have to uh, give the transportation cost, especially transportation costs in Indonesia quite expensive in remote area, because we have to hire or rent boat, even small plane. And management is about the policies and the directive on the management of protection of the data. Is if there is law or like data protection, then we can use that. And also the methodology, data quality and methodology, because like in big data there are plenty of methodology that can be used, like even in mobile phone, in detecting home or host there is plenty of methodology. And also even when we use like earth observation for agriculture, then if we use machine learning, then also there are plenty of methodology like deep learning or decision tree or artificial intelligence, artificial network. Which one is which method is applicable, or which method is also better, and can the production of data from big data can reflect the reality. And also that's related to also the technology, because like it needs infrastructure, and advanced is not advanced, actually a bit, yeah, different. Like with if we use server, then we didn't need like Hadoop or Spark, but if we use big data lake, then we need that, uh, and also we need data scientist and maybe data engineer also, if we have a cloud or data lake. And UN actually already create the working group for big data. Every country can actually join, or which one that interest. And it start in the former name is in 2014 is a global working group of big data. It has available in website, and now it changed to the Committee of Expert on Big Data and Data Science. It's mandated to give direction to use of big data for official statistics. So they try to create some of handbooks or methodology, and also have to create the e-learning for the, and consists of the 28 currently 28 countries. And that's not only statistical office, but some for academia like University of Tokyo, and also World Bank. And this also consists of some private company, like in Brazil, I forgot the name. And it has like the UN Global Working Group have task team, which is the intergovernmental body. Yeah, the member consists of various people, and also UN Global Platform, which is collaborative environment. UN Global Platform actually is a kind of like cloud platform. It developed by ONS previously. It contains some of the big data that NSO or other institution can use it, or yeah, can use it as the source. And like it also has some of the code and some of the data like AIS, automatic information system. And in the task team, if you go, then you can join which task team that interested. It doesn't necessarily like to contribute like talking or something, but maybe just listening or have an idea, then that's okay and possible. It's a task team of use of satellite and remote sensing. They have some project, but currently mainly for agriculture. It led by Canada NSO, for agriculture and for the SDGs 2, goal 2. And also task team of the use of mobile phone. It led by the ITU. It has also various use case like from commuting, migration, tourism, and information society and others. And also task team on the scanner data. It led by Netherlands. It start, and it also has some of the project and also some of the technology how to produce price statistic from scanner data. So if we use scanner data, then possibly some of the price survey can be removed. And other is task team on the use of AIS, vessel tracking. This also have a project. They also have in the past they have a training or workshop like using Python, and they have also provide the code script for using AIS. It can be used like for trade statistic, export and import. And there is also project like combining the AIS with satellite data, and also like for tourism, because like Netherlands use a vessel for tourism because it provide yacht also. And task team on training and competency. This task team is produce like matrix maturity of the big data, and also produce the curriculum and for e-learning and module for e-learning. But it's not now. It's not start already made, but it's not complete to be used yet. Maybe in the few years or maybe next year. And there is also task team on privacy preserving technique. It led by this is the privacy using big data, which is led by the CBS Netherlands. And should I stop here or continue? Thank you, Matthew.
Thank you, Titi, for being concise and comprehensive in terms of introduction to big data. I think we can just stop, but if anyone's got any questions that are specifically about what Titi has just said, we can take them. But otherwise, it's kind of it's okay, I think, to continue to the next section, which goes into a bit more detail about what is data science. And kind of, okay, if we've got this big data, what do we do about it? I think I would just underline that there are some kind of fundamental challenges that we have with big data. If we think back, Titi mentioned the fundamental principles of official statistics, which I hope you're all aware of. If you look at those, they don't deal with many of the challenges that we face with using big data. And that's why countries like the UK would still call them experimental rather than producing big data and calling them official statistics. I'm not sure we'll ever get to that stage, but what they do is really add value potentially to some official statistics outputs. And not all big data are equal. And I did a study in the last few years for the UK government on different sources of digital data. And I measured the kind of quality issues with all these different types of data, which TT mentioned, and red lights were flashing around things like reliability. So if you can get it now, can you get it in the future? And if you can't get it in the future, is that going to help your policymakers? Is that going to help your users? Ethics was also a big problem. Big data can potentially help with the data gaps we have for the SDGs in terms of leaving no one behind and finding groups, but it also potentially has a selection bias, particularly when there's kind of active digital content being created, and those who are digitally excluded are naturally excluded from that the sample of people you're looking at there, which is really really important. When we're using Earth observation data, satellite data, particularly in the indicator, we're looking at, we're basically looking at people's homes, which needs to be dealt with in a very sensitive way. So there are a number of challenges to address there, but I think we'll find that the reason we are focusing on kind of Earth observation data in this project or things like that is because it actually is readily available and meets it is the kind of the best fit for the quality criteria that we're looking at. And what we might have to do in the future is, for this strategy, is look at other data sources which kind of fill the quality gaps but not use them exclusively. So to me, it's about understanding what are the quality dimensions of different types of big data and how do we fit them together to help fill a gap that we have with these kind of more traditional data sources in official statistics. Anyway, there's no questions. I don't see any hands. TT, please tell us more about data science.
Okay, thank you, Matthew. So yeah, like in the past, NSO or institution NSI have the statistician, but now there's possible they need the data scientist or data engineer. What is a data science? Oh, sorry. Yeah. So in the UN, data science is the application of tools, methods, and practice of the digital and data aids to create new understanding and improve decision making. So in the UN data strategy, data scientists solve emerging and complex problems in data-driven and the design, construct, modeling data production process using prototype algorithm, predictive model, and custom analysis. So in the past, statistician doing the processing. Although some of statistician maybe use machine learning when processing like census, the data for census, they might be also using machine learning also. That's possible. But now data scientist is more needed, and even in the future maybe, because like in statistics now we cannot only like use make like regression or ARIMA or something, but the data scientists need like to bit like parameter for machine learning. Like if we use like machine learning for maybe mobile phone, for like machine learning for maybe for mobile phone, then when we compare with the data, how many error of the machine learning, like if the error like 50%, is it acceptable? We use this methodology like machine learning, or we need use human algorithm, or we have to go back to use the traditional or conventional data. So that's the function of data scientist. So in the future, data scientist is more needed in the statistical office. And also data engineer, it's actually supporting, data engineer is supporting data scientist. That's for preparing, they prepare for the Hadoop connection when the data scientists want to process the data, and also others like if they have problem or something. So data engineers is more to deal with like data lake or cloud, and also data analyze. This is also data analysis can be combined, because like if data analysis only consists of data scientists, if they didn't have other background, that's maybe also possible. Uh, maybe there is a problem, because we have if we want to use the data like for e-commerce, so whether this analyze concept met with like statistics and met with the concept and definition, and also like for tourism. In tourism, there is a concept for tourism by UNWTO, and also like for ocean account, there are also some concept in ocean account and SNA, and whether the concept fit with the big data, like maybe the earth observation, something like that. And data science is both concept, it's statistic, data analysis, and informatics, and use technique in mathematics, computer science, information. So data science not because like in the past we can use like SAS or SPSS, but now for data science R, Python is more, and other like other language will be more usable. And application, data science is import and tidy or yeah, tidy up the data, because the data is some of the data is very tidy. Like if you use data from Uber or digital platform, like I don't know, in Indonesia we have digital platform such as Shopee or Tokopedia and other, and the data often not good. I mean, like very plenty of noises, which is we have to cleanse, and then we have to visualize, modeling, and communicate to the user. And the tools for data science, there is a platform that's Hadoop and Spark. Now it's only two, and other tools is Tableau. Tableau is for the communication. We can like make more dynamic, like when people going somewhere, and framework is also from Spark and Flow. And language, Python, R, that's usually, and JavaScript. Uh, some are like mobile phone mostly using Python or Hive, while the Earth observation and nighttime light can be used JavaScript and Python. It's also use format and such. And yeah, Python is rank 1 in types of data. like C++, we use this when process census or survey data. This is the language that use. So I stop here, or maybe is there?
Great, thank you so much, Titi. Very useful introduction to data science, data engineering, and data analysis. I wonder if there are any questions from our colleagues. Please think of questions to ask Titi. She has a lot of experience applying these things in Indonesia. But maybe if I don't see any hands, Titi, I'm going to ask you a question. So in Indonesia, I know that you did a lot of experiments with big data, so when doing that, you have obviously had to use data science skills. You had to use new languages. How did the Indonesian statistical office get those skills? Either did you train your own people to do that? How did you do that? And did you work in partnerships with other organizations to use their skills to do your experimenting with big data?
Okay. Yeah, actually, at first we try ourselves first, but when we get the result, because like we have institution, the statistic institution, we produce students like 500, and yeah, first we try with them, but then when the result is not good, then we ask other company, the like for mobile phone, we use because we know that Estonia is the first one using mobile phone, then we ask them. And for other we also cooperate like with university, academia, uh, like University of UGM, for yeah, and ITB, we cooperate with, but mostly we have because we have institute, then we invite people. And also we before we use, we also invite UN Pulse in Jakarta to give our presentation. So yeah, before we use that, we try every, and then yeah, before we try first, and but when we know the result is not satisfying, then we search for other source, asking and research.
Interesting. Do colleagues in Mongolia have any questions or other insights about your understanding of big data or data science? Please. I think someone is
Looks
speaking.
like one of looks like one of your colleagues is trying to speak, but
can't hear.
yeah,
Maybe you're muted.
it doesn't show that she's muted, but maybe
Or
the
maybe it's the
microphone.
microphone. Maybe it's the microphone. No, we can't hear you.
Yeah, unfortunately. Can you try to unplug your headset to see if that works? I think we could hear from you earlier because you were one of the first to join and your mic was on and we could hear you, but I don't know why. Uh okay, so while she's trying to fix her microphone, maybe others, if you would like to ask any questions or share any comments or insight, please feel free to do so.
Okay, thank you for great presentation, TT. And maybe my question is not directly related with maybe these topics, just big data and for science. I'm just wondering, is there any data policy and data strategy, national data strategy, national data policy in your country?
In Indonesia, yes, we have NSDS, National National Strategy Development Statistics, and we also have our strategic planning, our strategic planning. In our strategic planning also we have two. I mean, like in the strategy or in the mission, now we incorporate, but like in the past in our strategic planning we didn't incorporate about the technology development and others, but now because we have to use like a web survey or other technology, the big data including. So yeah, in our now we incorporate uh, both in our strategic planning and in our NSDS.
Thank you very much. Can you share with this policy documents with your colleagues?
Yes, I can share. For the planning strategy is available in our website that I can share it, but I'm not sure I can find it one in English. I try, but yeah, the one the NSDS there is two, one in English, but the new one is still in Indonesia in Bahasa in our language.
So this,
Yeah, that's
okay, is
yeah.
okay.
I can. Yeah.
One more thing is how I think generally all we know about the data stewardship issue, the official statistics. So how to relate or how to connect with how to connect with
Yes.
this field.
Okay. Yes. Yeah, data steward, because in the UN now the program is like NSO is not only data producer, but should be data more on data steward or data governance, because now the data available in not on is not only produced by statistic office, but also produced by other. But the problem is like if the data produced by other institution, is this comply with the manual or not? Like if produced by the manual, then what we should do? I mean, like if like for data trade statistic, for example, the data is from the customs, and but that's the data is produced by because of the administrative procedure, the custom or the immigration, and then the data itself is not comply with the manual, but statistics or the producer of the statistic have to comply with the manual. So in the data stewardship, then the statistical office like to have steward or governance in using like standard, the international standard, so the data can be comparable with international, and also using the classification like international classification like ISIC, although some of the ISIC maybe can be developed with national ISIC, because maybe we have a different classification, but it's possible. But on and 4 digit at least, or yeah, 4 digits ISIC it's comparable within other in countries, and other like standardization, and also about the metadata. So that's the task of the governor of the statistics in using, and also govern the data interoperability also, like between institution, the national institution. That's some of the. So it's not matter. I mean, it's no longer only data producer. Like if produce census and survey, that's NSO and census especially, that's NSO task mandate. But now the data is available everywhere, then the statistics have to govern the data. Maybe Matthew also have some experience with it, because actually it depends on the system of the statistic. If the system is centralized, it's easier. Like in Indonesia, we are more centralized compared like in the US. US is more decentralized. US statistic only produce census, but other institution produce other data. What if the data that produced is not comparable with manual, international manual? That so we can compare with other institutions. Like if the data is produced by maybe, for example, tourism data or digital data, maybe for example tourism, it has our national account. National account can be produced by central bank, and like tourism can be produced maybe by tourism statistic. But if the central bank did not comply with the SNA 2018 2008, then the data cannot be compared. Like IMF, if IMF or World Bank compare the GDP or the growth, it cannot be compared if we didn't imply the SNA, either SNA 97 or 2008. So that's maybe I hope I can
Okay, thank
explain.
you.
Maybe Matthew.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Titi. Very soon, I think we should have a break. I just say from the UK perspective is very interesting. The UK is a very decentralized statistical system with an unbelievable amount of bodies producing official statistics at central and regional government level, and the way that kind of the data management is via the law, which basically sets in place a quality assurance body, which will basically assess the quality of all statistics being produced by all public bodies. And I think that's important actually to think about big data, that if without that kind of system, what we really need to do with when we're using big data is think about this word quality and manage quality really well, and be able to communicate quality challenges, what we've done about quality to users. And I think that's probably the most important message from the UK is actually you shouldn't need the law to force you to do that. You should do it anyway. And what the UK has to do is there's a massive industry of stakeholder engagement in official statistics, and the idea of partnerships and stakeholder engagement is really important for big data as it is for normal statistics. And in the second half of the training, Titi is going to take you into a learning journey around some of these kind of implications about how we can approach quality management with using big data, how we approach stakeholder engagement, these kinds of things. So the implications of big data, what do we do about them, is coming up next in the training course. But I will call for a break now and until 3:30 in
just
one go.
before that, Matthew, actually, we actually did not get to take a photo earlier, so let's if I could ask everyone to, well, if you can turn on your camera for a group photo, that would be fantastic. And then it'll be just a quick one. So and then I'll be able to share with everyone later on. Mr. Arimbo, I'm not sure if you can turn on a light in your room, perhaps because the lighting from your side is not, it's not so good, I think.
Sorry about that. I tried
That's
to manage, but still.
that's
So
fine.
sorry.
That's okay. That's fine. Okay, so I will take a few photos actually. So I will do so in 2 seconds. Okay. Okay, one more perhaps. Okay, fantastic. Thank you, everyone. So back to you, Matthew, to announce the exciting next part of the section, which is a break.
Yes, very exciting. So let's try and start around 1/2 past the hour, 3:30, I think, in Mongolia. So a quick comfort break, refresh the brain, and we start again in about 10 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Talk to you soon.
Hello, everybody. Can I just check? Titi, are you there? At least everybody's still making.
Yeah, I'm
Oh,
here.
Roth, you're there. The others are making coffee.
I'm here
Yes.
too.
Good.
It's a complicated process, you know, coffee making. So take a bit of time.
Well, I only drink tea. I don't drink coffee, so I don't. I don't have this problem. It's very easy to make tea. You're such an Englishman.
I was going to comment and then I didn't.
It's okay. Some stereotypes are true. We do need Titi. Hopefully she's not making complicated Indonesian coffee.
Well, they do have some interesting coffee varieties over in Indonesia.
The luwak, yeah, the luwak. We can often like cat. Can we use cat coffee? Just for cat. No.
Yes,
Luwak.
I think I know that one. Yes, maybe let's share that for the other day. Let's keep it for the other day.
No, that's luwak coffee. I like luwak.
Luwak, yeah. Yeah, it comes out of a very interesting part of the body, doesn't it?
Yes.
Anyway, that's for later in the evening. Okay, right. Titi, could you share your screen and continue with the next session? And the next session is really, really important because it really sets the framework for our approach, I think, to the strategy for the indicator. So Titi is going to talk quite a lot about stakeholder engagement. We need to think quite a lot about that, but also quality assurance frameworks. And as we kind of go through the process of learning and doing and deciding on the strategy, we need to, I think, methodically kind of take into account different quality considerations and thinking about how we shift how we approach traditional sources to how we can approach big data. So, Titi.
Yes, thank you, Matthew. Now still loading.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
So, yeah. Is it if is it use using GSBBM generic statistic business process model? In there, there is a specified needs. So it's we usually use the specified needs and then asking or for every product statistic production, even like in census or in survey or administrative data, such as if we plan to do survey also, we have to specify needs, whether the data is needed by other institution or not. So it is actually the same with big data. And like also for census, like do we still like need economic census if we already have data from tax, for example? So we specify needs and then asking who are the relevant stakeholders of the that want us to produce data that source from big data. But now is quite clear because since there is SDGs, so it's also relevant in the UN since there is SDGs. The Ministry of Planning or other relevant ministry, other related ministries need the data more frequent. like especially Ministry of Planning, like for example in Indonesia, Ministry of Planning produce VNR annually, voluntary voluntary national review uh, annually, but some of the data is not available. It's like Tanya said before, there is a data gaps, like around 260 or something SDGs. We only have around 180 something indicators, which produced by statistic and other institution. So there is a data gap, and we look at whether big data can produce that indicator or yeah of SDGs, and what indicator is expected to deliver, like whether it's goal 9 or goal 7 or goal 2 that want to deliver. And also for monitoring, sometimes they need more frequent data, like even they need quarterly data, like for agriculture, they need quarterly, and also maybe some even need more granular data also, like for monitoring. Although the SDGs support national SDGs is support by province, but it also support by should be support by the cities or municipalities, because the action plan of the province need support like from the action plan from the cities. Yes, and then that action plans and the data indicators should be monitored in order to know whether we already achieved the target, because like before, usually Ministry of Planning set up the target, so that's also uh, needed some of the big data. If we use like kind of like survey, then it adding burden, like it need also at the burden, work burden, and also respondent burden. Like in Indonesia, we have uh, at least 248 surveys already. So and if household kind of like have 5 or 4 household survey, then I think they will get upset. And uh, when should be expect to deliver, whether it's annual or quarterly, and how, and also yeah. So the stakeholders of big data is a National Statistic Office, big data holders or providers. It can be private or government, and organization with data science skills, like it can be private and government, uh, usually using maybe academia or university or research agency and other institution related to regulation and planning, uh, and data privacy institution also, if there is. But if not, then we can just rely on the, if there is a data privacy act, then yeah, rely on that. And user of official statistic that produce using big data. The hardest part actually the users, because like user usually ask the trusted data. I mean, so the trusted statistics. So they usually doubt whether the big data can be trusted of official statistics, and then can be used for like policy making or other purpose, like for monitoring. And user consultation. So the scope, we identify the scope of requirement first, like whether it's for policy making or for the program, which is this is also related for the whether the granularity or the timeliness and other data. And what source of data already exists, whether administrative data exists, census and surveyor, and then that's include big data actually. And it is whether any expert that can be involved, that is from academia or from the research agency that understand data science or understand about the big data, or it can be private also. And regarding privacy concern, that's a legal framework about the governing or the processing, use and transmission of data. Whether is it adequate? If it's not, then what is it? Like if you want to use like for example for mobile phone, then since there is no national legal framework, then the provider of operator may be asked about the NDA, the separate NDA, non-disclosure agreement for the data scientist that process of the data. Like for data, the data for like maybe Earth observation or the NTL, the nighttime light data. There is also possibility maybe the data cannot go out from the premises, maybe from the map agency. But also, if possible, then we can take the data. But if we use the Google Earth engine, then we can use their environment, their cloud, and then we can export the result of the result of the processing, like in aggregate data. Actually, it's the same with other data, like if we use but some other data, like if that public domain, like data from Agoda or from booking.com, then we can just scrap and put the data in our data lake and then process the data. But often we have to ask permission. I mean, like we just like send a letter, or if there is no regulation, then we ask, send a letter or email asking permission that we will want to use this data, because often they if we like just scraping or crawling, then they shut down their web or their, so that make a problem. But if we ask permission, then they will open, and then even they keep like because they know the API or the IP address. And also there is whether there is law and regulation, whether there is a privacy act, or there is like ministry regulation on privacy, something. And regarding the regulation, this is also for statistics. Some often is quite difficult. Like at first, we thought that our like Indonesian statistical law, we thought that can be used to access big data, but it's not actually. Like we cannot access like mobile phone data. And when we ask like open or street, sorry, Google Map street for our map, comparing with our map, working map, then we have there is no law, and then we have to ask Google and make agreement, something like that. And regulation, if there is no statistical law, then we can, whether there is also government or president or king or ministry decree or regulation. Like in some country, often they use king decree, or like in Indonesia, we use president decree to access to digital platform, and also we use ministry decree to access other data, and other law as mentioned before, the privacy, and that is possible in harmonious law and act, because like for example, if we want to use data, for example, like custom data or immigration data, there is possibility that there is a custom law or immigration law which is in harmonious with statistic law. So we cannot get the data, for example. Then we have to do some agreement, MOU, for that. And there is possibility of data access model, which is that not free. Like there are some other data is not free. There are free, like Google Earth Engine, Facebook is free, but in some, for some area is not free. I mean, it's closed, but we have to ask the Facebook if we want to access. And also like Google Mobility, some are free, some are not. And for data access, we can use law or regulation like produce, and we have to concern about the law, how long the law or the regulation can be developed. And also there can be reciprocal if government have like government cloud, like in Oman, they have government cloud, then all the company can put the data in there, including big data, and then statistic can use it, and then reciprocal, and help like help the other company like to analyze big data like for marketing as well. And third is commercial. Sorry, there is a background background praying, calling, but I hope you didn't hear. And then commercial, this includes we have to pay for the data, or we have to other, I mean pay for the rent of the place when we processing the data and others. For big data, the quality of the big data, uh, we can also refer to the quality assurance framework, and also the UNIS big data. Actually, it's similar to the when we did the census or survey. The difference is between big data and census and survey. Actually, big data is a bit similar to administrative data. The data is already there, and we cannot control like the input of the data usually. But like for census and survey, we can control since the beginning, since the input in the fieldwork, like we can control the enumerator if they make wrong, or we can control the questionnaire, and we can control the step of the processing. So in the every steps of and every phase of the step, the production, we can control in the census and the survey. But in big data, often we can control. That's also a problem. And another thing is, yeah, For the census survey and administrative data, there is already settled KIF produced by UN, which telling everything how to produce the quality and the quality of statistics. So this is usually used by every NSO, but often every NSO has their own KIF that used for internally or for nationally. And in the quality principle in the UN KIF, actually it is the same with the quality in the big data. There is a 4 level that's managing the statistical system, managing the institutional environment, managing the statistical process, and managing the statistical output. And for GSBBM also it's the same within the big data and also for the census. We have for the big data, we have to refer to GSBBM also when produce the quality indicators is, and with the census and survey, it is also the same. So the quality management that's improve the quality of statistical products, improve requires the improvement of the statistical process. But the difference is that as mentioned before, the data is already there, and then the data is cannot follow. I mean, it didn't follow the manual and others because that's the product. Like if mobile phone or satellite, it's the product is already there, and then the what we can do is only improvement in the statistical process or statistical, yeah. And in GSBBM, describe define the set of business process that's products produce of official statistics. GSBBM also facilitate the assurance of the UN NKF requirement. And quality management in GSBBM is a overarching process. It's quality assurance and mechanism and evaluation of. So like in the process of census, when we do census and survey, when we did like editing coding or we did the process imputation, actually is the same with big data. If at the process, if we found whether the data is there is missing data, should we impute or we just can like ignore something like that. And for official statistics, the quality assurance framework regarding the institutional privacy and security completeness. So when we use the data, we also consider whether the data is complete and also accuracy, selectivity. Then usually the problem with big data is the selectivity bias. Like when you use like Twitter example for tourism, not all people using Twitter, and also not people when using Twitter, they put the location, so we didn't know the number of population in there. And also coherence and linkability. This coherence can be done like we using, it's actually the same when we did survey as a census using coherence. We compare with other data, like with our other survey or with our other census or with administrative data, and validity and accessibility. Yes, this is a quality assurance units. They already produced the KIF for big data, and for the quality of big data, assess the 3 hyperdimensions and should be cover 3 phases of the statistical production. So the 3 phases is the input, throughput, and output. It is actually the same with when we did the census and survey also. And the 3 hyperdimensions, it is the source, related to the type of the data, where's the data obtained, and how it's administered and regulated, and metadata, the description of the metadata, the concept usually is available. Like when we use the mapping agency, then they have already their metadata usually, and we use the Google Earth Engine, then they also have metadata, and when we use mobile phone data, they have metadata that explaining every field on the data, and which field that we can be used and produce for the statistic. And the data is related to the quality of the data. So this also from the UNIS. Rod and Matthew later on will explain in detail and then have exercise about this as well. So there is a and yes, the selective if we cannot measure the bias, that's can be problem also, because like in every census or survey we measure the error, the root mean square error, like especially in survey, but like in census we also measure the post enumeration survey, we measure the like non-response and other census in census. So the input, discovery states, acquisition, data record, and other is approach, that factor to consider whether data is required. So this is also like the problem if we also access with big data, like when we ask like digital platform, and then they process the data, we have only aggregate data, then when we ask whether there is outlier or something, then they cannot answer. That's also the problem. So it is better if we got the especially the raw data, and this is the input phase. Yeah, that's will be explained. We have exercise also with this reliability of the data provided, and availability, and also transparency. And in the transparency is not only about data collection and processing, it's about the methodology, because like for example, when we use earth observation or land observation, we use machine learning with methodology, maybe artificial neural network, and data user maybe ask, why did you use artificial neural network? Why don't you use decision tree, for example? So we have to like explain and transparency about that, for example, like in Indonesia, if because because of the our agriculture area is very small, like on average less than 0.5 acre. So maybe only decision tree can be used, or even we can use decision tree at all. Have to use human algorithm. So sorry. That's one of example. So we have to transparency about the data collection, and also like if we use mobile phone, there is a plenty of methodology available, like when detecting home, work, and tourism. So this is later will be explained by Rod and Matthew. And the system also in the throughput, the system independent, and in the process, whether we have, as mentioned before, if there is like missing data or other anomaly, we have to check whether we have to input or just delete. And we have to apply also the quality gate, the 3 quality gate, the first gate, second gate, and the third gate. The third gate is the output. The output quality framework should be meet reporting the criteria of NSO. It's actually the same with when we did the census and survey. When we check and also administrative data. When we check the result, then we have to compare or calibrate with other data source before we form or we convince that the data can reflect the reality and can be used for the decision making. So follow the transparency in 3 area: methodology, processing, and also the general approach of quality dimension. This is one example of remote sensing in agriculture. You can read also their paper by Tem. He previously worked, Tem is previously worked with ABS, Australian Bureau of Statistics. So missing data due to like cloud cover, if we use, but in Google Earth Engine, some of the data we can choose whether the data with cloud cover or data without. But in maybe if we use other data, there is no availability of the data without cloud, for example. And after that, we have to communicate when use of the big data, because not all user believe in big data. Actually, they still don't. So we have to do communicate like press release, explaining our methodology in the publication, and also do some workshop for journalists or for the data user or for the stakeholder. So thank you very much. That's all for me.
Thank you, Titi. Very interesting and hopefully useful for our colleagues in Mongolia. Really appreciate your questions and comments. Mongolian colleagues, please. Did you understand? Is that clear?
Yeah, everything is much better than our previous knowledge. So, however, we need to carefully study some sources. Then we can, after that, maybe we touch the more deeper.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we'll kind of go through the process of assessing this during the development of the national strategy, but also we'd like to take you through an exercise now to get you thinking, to get you using these kind of frameworks, so we're better prepared when we develop the strategy. And Roth will talk you through the exercise, and in doing so, maybe explain a little bit more.
Yeah, thanks, Matthew. So we, as you know, Matthew mentioned, it's a iterative process where we will actually have to go through some of the processes a number of times before we can actually, embed what we've learned into our project. So we thought it would be helpful. Actually, Titi, could you I think I'll try to share my screen so that we can go through that exercise. Titi, if you could stop sharing your screen, and then I'll try and share mine. Okay, thank you. Right. Okay. So it's basically the quality assuring framework that TT presented. But before we actually get into the quality assuring framework, I should mention at the start, and obviously I think everyone's aware as well, and that is big data is obviously an evolving area. And in terms of the internationally agreed standard, we're still lacking in that department. So there have been a number of initiatives so far in trying to develop a more cohesive and comprehensive framework to quality assure data. But so far there hasn't been an internationally agreed upon standard, especially if we're using big data for official statistics. For official statistic production using our traditional data such as census and survey, we have the UN fundamental principles to guide us, and that's key, and also the SDG metadata. If we're talking about the SDG, indicators for big data, that's not available. And what we're trying to use for our project is a suggested framework by UNECE, our colleagues in Europe, who have adapted some of the elements from our traditional quality assurance framework for censuses and surveys. That's why you have the three phases. You have the input, the throughput, and the output phases. But also guide the development of this framework in a way that it falls nicely into the big data element. And I thought we thought it would be helpful if we can do a little exercise, just picking one input, one hyperdimension, and one quality dimension to assess specifically in the context of Mongolia. So if you can picture what we're at right now, it's basically we're at the input phase. And under the input phase, there are multiple hyperdimensions. You have source, metadata, and data. And then under each hyperdimension, you have multiple quality dimensions and multiple factors to consider. So we're just picking the input phase, the source hyperdimension, and the institutional business environment quality dimensions. And then we'll look at the factors under these quality dimensions that could help us answer necessary questions to quality assure the data. So there's a lot of talking. Going into the quality dimension itself a bit more, particularly on the factors. As you can see before, you have a number of factors to consider, and this is just breaking it down further. So for example, sustainability, you have sustainability, reliability, transparency, and interpretability. So just looking at sustainability for now, there's some elements that if you can answer them, or if you have a good understanding of the question, answers to the question, you can claim that there is potentially good, the source of data is sustainable and you're able to get access to it in the long run. So something like factors that affect the sustainability of the data provider's data in relation to the NSO's requirements. So what does that mean? It essentially means that you can ask question about, let's say if you're aiming to use data from Facebook, for example, and if you want to make sure that the data that Facebook produces meets the quality of NSO Mongolia, you might be able to say, okay, well, at this point in time, Facebook's data is sufficient and meets the NSO requirement, but are you sure down the line they're going to continue to use to produce the same data and they're not changing anything? It also ties to the second part of the question, as in, will the data provider continue to produce the same data, or will they change the methodology? So these are some of the questions that you can ask, and if you can answer yes to these questions, more or less, you can say that there's a good sustainability element to your source of data, and so on. So you can see these sort of components in question later on, and we've collated some of the questions that will help guide you through finding answers to those questions. And then these elements and these factors and these questions, you can find them in the document that Matthew shared at the start of the training, one of the suggested reference, and you can find them for all of the phases, all of the hyperdimension and quality dimensions. So for our purpose, we thought it would be good if you can maybe perhaps takes 15 minutes to discuss among yourself these questions and whether you can find answers to these questions in the case of Mongolia and in the case of our project, basically. So think about our project as in, well, Matthew is gonna present the possible data source later on, but let's say for our project, if we're considering, actually, let me just bring up that slide. If we're considering, let's say, Earth observation data or OpenStreetMap data as the potential big data, and then let's say if we were to merge or integrate that with census, as Mr. Arimbo highlighted in your email, what would be the factors that we can consider in answering these sort of questions, essentially? So let's take about 15 minutes, and please feel free to discuss in your own language. It will be much easier and much faster if you could discuss among yourself. And if you have questions, we're available to help try and answer them as much as we can. And then by the end of your discussion, maybe you can help share what you found through the process. And it doesn't have to be, you don't have to answer all of the questions. If you're focused on just one or two, I think that's fine as well. After this training, it will be helpful if you could provide written comments on answers to this question. That would be great for us to have records of this as well. So let's start the discussion, and let's aim to finish the discussion by 3:30, and we're more than happy to answer any question along the way.